Bang.
Bang. Welcome back, folks. For some of you, it's like a bad dream, but it shouldn't be, because if you've been kicking yourself for missing out on any of these cryptocurrencies, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or Chainlink, whatever it might be, Sushi Swap, you are getting a chance now, because we are definitely in the midst of a significant correction. In stocks, that's usually when we go, and push towards 20%. We've already done that in Bitcoin. So some people would claim that that's a bear market when you get over 20%. And the question is, how long does the either correction or the slide last? And we're lucky enough to have Matt and CJ, who have been trading through a whole bunch of these cycles. And what would be your best advice, guys?
Well, I just want to bring up March 12th of 2020, a day that will live in infamy. But in all seriousness, it reminds me a lot of what we're seeing today. Of course, oil went negative preceding that event. But in terms of sentiment and in terms of liquidations and in terms of people puking out of their long-term positions, it all feels very similar. And if you were around back then, you'll know that that one day when Bitcoin fell about 40%, Ethereum fell about 50%, people were scrambling to get filled in their bids. And if you were able to get filled during that day and that crisis when everybody was losing their shirt and panicking, you did very, very well for yourself, because within only a couple days, price crashed to 3,000, but then within the next few, it was up back at around 5 to 7 or even 8,000 following those days. This market is just so oversold. I mean, we went down and hit 29K, for God's sakes. At the very least, shorts are likely to cover, and we are likely to get some type of reaction bounce, like what we're already seeing off the 30 and 35K levels.
Yeah, CJ, I completely agree with you. One thing I did want to bring to everyone's attention was the fact that, $8 billion in lever longs were liquidated this morning. So an incredible amount of capital was liquidated. And CJ, you've talked so much about the importance of organic growth in this market, and that, there was a little bit of over exuberance just a week ago. Do you feel like that has changed now? Do you think that a lot of those, recklessly long positions have been flushed out, and now we found this bottom and are set to see some more organic growth to the upside?
Well, when individuals keep buying the dip with leverage and it keeps dipping, they don't have any more capital to buy the dip. So they are essentially wiped from the market. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think we're going to have to, the dust has not settled yet. I think it's going to very soon. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, this was pretty unprecedented. We've only seen a couple drops like this throughout Bitcoin's history.
Yeah,
well,
CJ.
I'm looking at a lot of these, like Polkadot down 35%, Litecoin 30%, Chainlink 22%. I mean, these are, really, really significant drops. And of course, the stock market is weak at the same time. And Carter Worth, who's a friend of mine, he used to be at Oppenheimer, guys, and now I forget the name of his firm, and I'll get it tomorrow because I don't mean to cast any shade on Carter. I think he's a great technician, and charts don't always tell the tale, but nonetheless, he was saying Monday, as Bitcoin was bouncing between 42 and 44, he was saying we could see 29,000 on this move. And he did that on CNBC's Fast Money show, a show that very few of us watch anymore. But nonetheless, it's that used to be the big show. Then we got the halftime show, and the halftime stole all the thunder from the 5 o'clock show. And Carter, though, and my brother Pete are two of the reasons that it's worth watching that 5 p.m. show. And his call seems very prescient, because when you look, I'm looking at even Tuesday, we were touching 44,000 in BTC, Bitcoin. And overnight into today, we traded down to, now CJ and Monty saw it maybe below 30. So it would have had a 29 handle at that point. I'm looking at my chart on CoinMarketCap, and it shows a low, at least at that time, of 31,663. Either way, from 44 to 31 is a hell of a great call by Carter Worth. So I'm tipping my hat to Carter on that call. And it did make a subsequent jump from 31.6 all the way back to 36.8, and then, pulled back a little bit more to where it is right now, 35,222 for Bitcoin. But wow, those liquidations, and you can see right when they were doing them, guys, when they're doing those liquidations of the levered longs, or people that have shorted puts, because there is a contingent out there. And if you've not traded options much before, I'll give you a really short primer on it. When some people don't want to buy a given asset, they will sell a put option. Now, a put option is normally insurance. It makes money as the market goes lower. So it works inverse, of course, of a call, which makes money as the market goes higher. So if you wanted to insure a portfolio, you might buy a put option to protect your Bitcoin holdings, for instance, at that, let's say you thought 42,000 would hold. So maybe you get in and sell the 41 or the 40 puts on Deribit or wherever you do it. That obligates you to buy if it drops. And the value of that put increases as the market goes down. So if you did that, and in particular, if you did that in a leveraged way, I would say, based on what I'm looking at on the charts, guys, that the biggest short interest had to be around 39,000 for Bitcoin, because it kept bouncing there. And then when it broke 39,000, that's when the margin clerks, basically, if there are such a thing anymore, I suspect most of the exchanges, this is pretty automated these days, they get in and just wholesale sell out the positions. Because, for instance, you may have availed yourself of 20-to-1 leverage or more on one of these exchanges, sold a whole bunch of puts at the 39K level and said, man, I'm banking all this, maybe I'm making $1,000 per put. And so that means I'm good down to 38,000. And I think 42,000 is going to hold. So I'll keep $1,000. All of a sudden it breaks down. And especially if you did that with leverage, instead of just one contract, you did 20 or whatever. So you stood to make 20,000, not 1,000. And all of a sudden it's fallen apart and they're liquidating you. It looks like the biggest volume of that liquidation was not too far off the bottom. It was between 34,000 and 31,000. And so that would mean that the people that had taken on the responsibility of being Warren Buffett, being Geico, the insurance company, because that's where Warren makes most of his money, folks, not insuring Bitcoin, but doing this in providing insurance. That means that you might have been liquidated, say at 33,000. So that 39 put was worth $6. So instead of making 1,000, you lost 6,000 times 20. If you did 20-to-1 leverage and so forth, that's an ugly day. And that's why they liquidated, because they probably didn't have the $120,000 that they just lost on that move. And that's how fast it happens. So we'll keep an eye on this. Right now, the 24-hour move in Bitcoin is a drop of 18%, but it was worse. And I suspect it was worse because of exactly what Monty said, that wholesale liquidation.
Yeah, John, that seems to be the case, definitely. And I got to give props to one of our other analysts, AJ Monty. He was actually just talking about, the value of getting in some put positions just to cover your long positions, because people don't like to sell their Bitcoin. They like to buy and hold. So puts could be an incredibly valuable tool to the person that, like me, just likes to buy and hold their crypto. But CJ, I want to toss a question to you. I want to cut to the quick of it here, because, I think the main question that people are asking is, what do I do now? Like, are you looking at Bitcoin as a buying opportunity? Are you looking at other alts as possible buying opportunities? Where's your focus right now? And what are you planning to do with your capital that's sitting on the sideline, if you do have any?
If I have any. Yeah, I'm looking for buying opportunities this week. Like I said, 29K, that's a pretty good bottom. And you saw how hard we bounced off that level. John made another good point about the shorts stacking up. We had a 150% increase in shorts stacking up when we hit the 42K level. A lot of those individuals are in profit. They're probably going to cover eventually, especially if we get reaction rallies above 35 and 37K. So I'm still looking for buying opportunities, especially in the alts, because they've gotten hit the hardest. We always talk about them having high beta in relation to Bitcoin. So we'll see, but I'm not shying away from any of this blood, so to speak.
No. And it's not, I know we do a Doge of the day, and certainly I'll have one, but I would put a basket of Doges together today here, guys. I mean, some of these moves have been so dramatic. I mean, Sushi Swap, for instance, symbol is just sushi, SUSHI. Sushi Swap down 25%. Chainlink, LINK, which is, I think, Monty, you might have just done it just a couple days ago, down 35%. And I'm not saying Monty was wrong. I've been in this one a lot, and I have to buy it down here. I mean, the 24-hour range on this thing is $21 to $45. I mean, that is nuts for Chainlink, which is a real project. It's not, what is that, Shiba Inu or whatever the heck that dog is, that, the Doge. What is that one again, guys?
Yeah, Shiba Inu coin.
Yeah, it's not, or it's not fuck Elon coin either, because pardon my French, but there is a fuck Elon coin out there. It's neither of those. Chainlink is a real project. So to see something, I'm just saying, it has served me well in crypto in particular to buy on significant dips. And when I described to you a 35% dip in a token like Chainlink, I think that's a deal. Now, I didn't buy it at 21, but I am in here at 24, and now it's 26.81. We'll see where she goes, but like I say, that and sushi, and maybe even, some of these bizarre ones like Avalanche, AVAX, I think is that one. There's just, I think, a compelling reason to jump on some of these to see whether or not you're able to, get some feast on somebody else's fear. That one, by the way, is down 33% right now, Avalanche, AVAX.
Well, there's no shortage of down assets.
No.
ADA, another legit project, as you say, John, down 31%
Yeah.
after such a parabolic run. So I think there's going to be a lot of these opportunities to scoop up these altcoins on the cheap.
And I think you just, depending on how big you are, for instance, I'll just pick up, $5,000 worth of, 3 or 4 of them down here at this level. And then, just see if we don't get some sort of a bounce. I mean, it is entirely possible that they keep going lower, but it is also entirely possible that after a correction of that nature, that these have just been used as, people tapping into this to try to, stem the bleeding in Bitcoin, which, took them down pretty hard if they were short those puts, like I just described.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And, speaking to that possibility of it continuing to go down, CJ, yesterday when we were hitting that T sequential 9 on Bitcoin, you really stressed the importance of waiting for confirmation of a reversal. And today we're seeing that pay out significantly. So how are you planning on playing this today? Are you waiting for confirmation of a reversal? And if so, like what timeframes would you be looking at to possibly catch that reversal early?
Well, that's a good question because I think we already might be in the beginning of that reversal. I mean, we bounced so hard from the 30K level, but it depends. It depends on where we're first going to hit resistance. And pretty evidently, we're running into resistance at 35K as well as 40. So I would be watching those. I think if we can get past those levels, it shows that we have confidence and we have that confirmation of new buyers who are stepping in. But nonetheless, this has just been one of those unique events that really doesn't happen very often, that presents very optimal buying opportunities. Like I talked about in March 12th of 2020, there was no time to wait for confirmation. I was just blindly buying the dip because we had fallen over 40%. That doesn't happen often at all. And so there's likely going to be a good regression to the mean with some type of reaction rally. And so that's always what I try to look for in these extreme circumstances.
Absolutely, CJ. That's exactly how I'm trying to play this too. I mean, we talked about the importance of this divergence from the moving average to the upside. We're seeing almost the same thing now to the downside. We're getting pretty significantly overextended here into oversold territory. So yeah, I'll be watching for a reversal as well. And I'll be looking to enter a Bitcoin position myself.
Yep. And I'd say, folks, again, I would stress this. None of us are saying that we know with absolute certainty that I'm betting my kids on it or anything else, that we're going to bounce at this level or that we're going to retrace all the way back up. I will say that when the market is 55, 58,000, or even the highs when we traded through 63,000 for Bitcoin, that's FOMO, that's fear of missing out. This is the opposite. So that greed and fear index that every once in a while CJ usually cites from the stock to flow model or whatever, whether you use that or volatility like I use it, when we get really high in volatility, that's when fear is running strong, and it is right now. Just look back and think, well, Ethereum was over $4,000 and now you're buying it at 2,400. Bitcoin was 63 plus thousand and now you're buying it at 35,000. Those are better places to enter. Again, no guarantees, but it's just better. And when you hear or see any of us, whether it's you guys at a cocktail party or us on TV talking about, well, yeah, I hope it goes down so I can buy more at this level. This is that chance. It's always easy to say it when you're very confident and when Apple's at an all-time high or NVIDIA or whatever, Bitcoin, but it's a whole different animal to do it. And we'll see, who are the people that do it or the people that just talk. So like I said to these guys, I bought some Bitcoin this morning at 38,000. And I don't know that it's, obviously it was not a great buy, because I could have perhaps waited and bought it at 34,000. I also bought it at 34,000, by the way. But I'm just practicing what I preach. So that and Ethereum and those coins that I already talked about are what I'm putting on my balance sheet today.
Very nice, John. And yeah, as a believer in the stock to flow model and in many macro models, today's a great opportunity to dollar cost average. You don't need to buy the bottom every single time and sell the top. You can buy on the way up. That's okay. Wait for confirmation, scale in so you don't get burned. And I think that ultimately, if you dollar cost average effectively, you're going to look back at this market and be really glad that you weren't reluctant to buy the dip.
Yep. And keep in mind that on days like today, when Coinbase and BlockFi and Deribit and a bunch of these exchanges are having trouble, Voyager too, I'll include them, when there's this much activity, sometimes it's hard to get into those exchanges. The one that sponsors this program is like Coinbase, a regulated exchange. Coinbase is US, Voyager is Canada, but both of them are regulated and publicly traded entities. So I feel pretty good about my money being safe in there. And I love making almost 9% on my deposited crypto there. Helps offset some of the problems. And remember, if you enter Rebel 25, when you open your Voyager account, you'll get $25 in Bitcoin. And also you can join us in the crypto room over at Market Rebellion, $1 for your first month, just $1. And it's a 24/7 room. So when you were looking at it, 5 hours ago, when Bitcoin was 32,000 or 31,000, there were people in that room that you could have been talking to and holding your hand to make sure that as you pulled that trigger, you were in good company. So anyway, have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully the sun will shine again tomorrow on Bitcoin.
Thanks, everyone.